Overwatch 2 lied to us. Diablo 4 is probably lying to us, but thank God BlizzCon is still on this year. Then we've got potential for a new Zelda movie. And of course, we're going to talk about Tears of the Kingdom. Also, we discuss upcoming games Warlander and Age of Wonders 4. And we've got rumors of a Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake and a brand new Metal Gear Solid. What does a Metal Gear Solid game look like without Kojima? Let's talk about that. Then we've got announcing.
Nick here to talk about that very game, a Metal Gear Solid without Kojima. Looking forward to the Cave Demon microtransactions.
Hi, I'm Josh, and I prefer my snake solid and my crabs battled.
And I am Andy. This is Video Game Tango. We're back.
Oh, yes!
I'm here.
Another week.
Another day.
Another tango. Another cast.
More video games. Hey, check it out.
That's some foreshadowing.
We've got some news to share with you guys. In case you weren't familiar with Video Game Tango, that's what we do here. Before we get started, real quick, I just want to thank you guys so much for making our last podcast one of the most downloaded and listened to podcasts that we've ever done. This
is the best thing that's ever happened.
The only podcast that we've had more listens to is the Grand Theft Auto 6 one, and that's been up for almost a year now. So thank you so much. This latest podcast is bound to go above and beyond that. The only content that we've ever done that has more watches and listens is our React content, unfortunately. So, maybe some more Reacts in the future if you guys keep liking it. But
we have opinions.
But thank you so much for enjoying the last podcast. We really appreciate it, you guys. So I just wanted to start off with that. Yeah, definitely feeling the love. Just remember, you can always find our YouTube videos at youtube.com/videogametango.
Or leave us a voicemail.
And leave us a voicemail. Speaking of which, we have a new voicemail that I forgot to load up before the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll get to that here in a second.
I'm titillated.
Meanwhile, remember, you can catch us Wednesday nights, 9 p.m.-ish, thereabouts, Pacific time, live at twitch.tv/videogametango.
I mean, who's keeping time anyways?
It's a weird soup. It's a weird soup.
It's a weird soup.
So yeah, I just shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for listening and liking our stuff. Really appreciate you guys. Throw us a subscription, if you want to subscribe to YouTube channel, that'd be fucking awesome. Love you for it.
Throw us anything. I mean, if you can reach where we're at by throwing it, I'd be very impressed.
Yeah, give us a good yeet. We will accept any good yeet.
Any goods that have been yoten are not verboten.
Absolutely
correct. Are not verboten.
So I've got the voicemail loaded up.
Excellent.
It's an interesting one. This one comes from Jade.
Jade.
What up, Jade?
Hi, by my name, laying at the same no place. I'm back again. I've been sending me. You and I never away. You've been letting me away. But I want you to stop me.
Woo! This is the best thing.
Yeah, dude. So, hey, thank you, Jade, for leaving us a voicemail. And if you would like to leave a voicemail, head on over to videogametango.com. Look in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You'll see a little purple microphone icon. Click that, and you can leave us a voicemail. You can do it on mobile. You can do it on your PC. It doesn't really matter. You can do it on pretty much any device.
See if you can top Jade.
Yeah, let's...
it's a high bar.
Sing to us. Jade set the bar. So thank you, Jade, for sending in your voicemail. Appreciate you bunches. Let's get to some news, gentlemen.
I believe
What's newsy, sir?
Some video games that have been made.
Some newsy things. Let's do a little follow-up with Activision Blizzard. Weird. Little left field. I know.
Are you sure we never cover them? Is that
never?
Is that a
we abstain?
Okay.
The Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition. God, I no matter how many times I say it, there's going to be
there's no natural way
MB
to
acquisition.
say it.
The bacquisition.
The back.
The bacquisition. Has been approved by EU regulators. The European Commission has approved the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft.
We like money.
Okay.
The funny thing is after they approved the acquisition in an interview, a spokesman said that the main reason they approved it is because of how much Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, the pairing of them, would help the cloud gaming industry, which is exactly what the CMA last week cited as the reason they wouldn't allow the acquisition.
Now follow me here. I think it's because the EU is still pissed about the UK leaving. It's like, fuck you guys. Approved.
We're going to hang on to this.
I think.
Well, we think the opposite.
I think some money made it into some regulators' pockets
Yeah.
because they just hand delivered lines to Activision Blizzard to deliver to the CMA when they eventually appeal to the CMA.
I mean, that's like, it's almost
Some of them micro bucks.
It's almost too good to be. It's almost too good to be true. It sounds like, oh man, if only we had another regulatory body that said the exact opposite thing. Like,
yeah.
God, if we could only get that. Oh, hey, look at that.
Well, and you know who's going to present the appeal?
Yeah, the Queen's lawyer.
Yeah, that's right, the Queen's lawyer. So, hey, go Activision Blizzard, I guess. In other Activision Blizzard news, Josh.
Yes. So it's back. And when I say it, I'm of course referring to BlizzCon. As BlizzCon is returning this year. It took a wee little hiatus last year. Now, since 2005, when it debuted, it's only not come out in 2006, 2012, and 2020 for obvious reasons. So they are back this year. Now, it was we were unsure whether it was or was not coming back, especially with things like, I don't think E3 came back this year.
Yeah, no E3 this year.
So like with things like E3 canceling, I'm wondering, well, what the heck is BlizzCon going to bring back? What are they offering? I don't know. There was a survival game they talked about, I think last year, that we haven't really seen or heard anything from since.
Yeah, there were whispers.
So I mean, Diablo 4, I guess
Sure.
they're claiming is going to be out and functional, but I'm not really interested in their highway for microtransactions. So I guess the cosplay contest, that's going to be fucking dope.
That's always good.
That's always going to be fucking cool.
Alex Straza cosplay I saw.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be awesome for the fans. I'm glad the fans are getting this, but I'm just like, what is Blizzard offering?
So-
What could the offering be this season for this? Is this just an elaborate trick to get people to come back to work in the office?
I mean, probably. No, so you bring up an interesting point, though, is they did talk about an open world survival game previously. And
Oh, yeah, that new IP there.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about it. That might be the reason for this BlizzCon because
That could be a good unveiling.
I'm scratching my head otherwise. Like with the news that we had about Overwatch, which we'll get to just shortly, and with the news coming out from RTO, Return to Office, and the World of Warcraft team's development cycle being completely shot. They're just having to cut features over and over and over again. We hear the same thing from the Overwatch 2 team. We hear the same thing from the Diablo team even. So the Diablo team is looking at having to scale down eventual content as well. So
yeah,
it had me kind of scratching my head. Like, what the fuck are we looking at? Are we just going to get another Hearthstone?
I mean,
update?
like some Hearthstone updates. Yeah, sure. I mean, Hearthstone. Yeah, sure. That's kind of cool. But it's like, I don't know. It kind of came out of the blue because Mikey Barra talking about that they had some stuff to drop, but when they were asked about BlizzCon a few months ago, it seemed very amorphous, still up in the air, whether it was going to happen or whatnot.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense. Just seeing like the turmoil that they're going under, right?
Yeah. But I mean, this could be a great time for some good press. Also,
there's three things. There's the crisis mode where they're having to cut all these features and figure out like what to work on. There is their existing IPs, Diablo and Overwatch and Hearthstone and all this, and then there's this new unnamed IP title. All three of these can't be true. They can't be in crisis mode and cutting features and also have a BlizzCon where they show a whole bunch of new stuff for existing and new IPs. So either they have cut a bunch of stuff and Diablo and Overwatch are just continue to get the shaft and Diablo is going to be even more DOA than it already is. or the crisis is true and this new IP has been put on the back burner, right?
Yeah.
Those are the only two reasonable scenarios I see.
Well, you say Diablo is going to be DOA. Why? What's your thoughts on that?
It's going to be a microtransaction hell like Diablo fucking Eternal was, or whatever the phone one was called.
Diablo Immortal.
They have only shown us the same tried and true methods of attempting to microtransaction us out of all of our stuff.
Sure.
After Overwatch and Diablo, it doesn't matter how good the actual gameplay of Diablo 4 is if it's surrounded in this environment of mucus membrane that is today's microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to last. Right?
Yeah.
It's not going to last the way that even Diablo 3 did.
Yeah, well, I mean, Diablo 3 was huge. Reaper of Souls really reinvigorated it. And
Diablo 3 had a huge misstep early.
It did,
with their
yeah.
fucking auction house
Arrow
and
304 and all that
they
shit.
really had to put in a lot of work to fix it by the time Reaper of Souls came out.
No, yeah.
And then the
true.
season play kind of reignited a lot of stuff for them there too when they started doing the season play.
Diablo, yeah.
And so I'm imagining season play again is going to be
Probably
a big thing for this here. And if like you're microtransactioning play to win, then pretty soon it's not going to. It happened to a fucking whale who had invested so much thousands of dollars into his Diablo Immortal character that he could not get a game, could not get a match because it was just he priced him. You literally price yourself out of playing the fucking game. Yeah. Like that's oh my god, there is that's something.
I do want to, with the caveat, when I'm saying game doesn't last, not gonna be great, whatever. That's entirely from an end user perspective.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I imagine Diablo Eternal did as well as any other phone gotcha freemium game. It's probably made them a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
It's great for them. I imagine that Diablo 4 is going to come out and not be as microtransaction as Eternal was, specifically because they got so much backlash.
Yeah, and they're targeting the Western audience more with this one.
Yeah, and they might get a good amount of money out of Diablo 4 over its few-year life cycle. But that said, everything points to this game being a game as a service that's going to be shut down, just like Overwatch 1 was, just like every other game that every other week says, oh, we're shutting this game down because it's been out for 2.5 years and it's not making as much money as we want it to anymore. Yeah. Like, I'm just trying to come to full terms that Diablo 4 is not going to be another Diablo game. It's not going to be that thing that you look back and think of all those great times you had playing it with or without your friends and all those fond memories and all the it's going to be another excuse to spend money.
Yeah, that's also kind of like that's what I was picking up from you very early on when you said it's like DOA. It's like it's because it's going to be more in line with Diablo Immortal or whatever Diablo Immortal than Diablo the first game. Yeah. Like it's just I feel like it's just a highway.
It's not going to be a game built to be an experience that's going to last. It's a game built to make money.
Yeah. And that's like,
that's all AAA games are now like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Me just coming to terms with it.
You know, at the end of the day, like I'm not going to be a day one purchaser of Diablo 4. I'm going to see how it pans out first.
I'm not going to give him any money.
Man, after my last few experiences, I don't think I'm going to be a day one purchaser of any game ever fucking again.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Learned those lessons recently.
Yeah. Activision Blizzard, weirdly enough, just a few years ago, was the one place where I was a day one purchaser because every game that came out, despite its downfalls, was still of an expected quality, right? Like you can look at day one issues, right? Like the issues that we had with Connection in Diablo 3 at launch, issues that you have with any of the World of Warcraft expansion launches. You know, day one is always going to be kind of a shit show. It doesn't feel like there's ever been servers capable of running day one for Activision Blizzard. But other than that, most of the time, you can expect a certain threshold of quality from Activision Blizzard, with the exception of the last few years. So, I mean, I'm not hopeful of it, but maybe with Diablo 4, we see like a comeback. We see like a return to stride, especially maybe if under the Microsoft umbrella, they're looking at fewer microtransactions. I mean, Microsoft Game Studios itself is putting out games mostly whole day one, right? Sometimes they've got DLC and, you know.
Yeah, but whole needs context. Like the Diablo 4 subreddit, the hardcore people who've been playing the beta when the word came out that it had a release date,
Yeah.
the subreddit exploded with people saying, wait, what? Like, you're releasing it in this state? We've got 6 months until release.
Yeah.
And all of them saying this is concerning.
Now, the test that they did this last weekend, though, while there were still some naysayers as far as like, why hasn't this been fixed yet? Because there are some things that people are upset that haven't been fixed. It does seem like the overall impression is that the last play test went really, really well for most people. Not just in functionality of the game and stress testing servers, but also a lot of the in-game issues had been fixed.
I don't know anything about it. So
Yeah,
no comment.
it just happened in the last couple of days. But overall, it seemed like, mostly positive reviews of it. So,
well, this leads into the
next
thing.
one,
the big one. Blizzard has announced that they have officially scrapped all Playverse environment PvE content for their Overwatch 2
which is
idea.
the entire fucking reason for Overwatch 2 was so that you could have PvE with your friends, like show up on a squad and do like the PvE stuff. Like that was the entire reason for this game.
Well-intentioned or otherwise, I think a combination of factors with a couple big ingredients, naming lawsuits and COVID and a backlash in PR, has caused Blizzard, like we were talking about, to cut a lot of things. And clearly Overwatch 2 is not doing what they wanted it to. And they've decided that the whole reason that they have modified your Overwatch game is now kaput. It's now...
well, they also modified loot boxes, so that's a whole thing.
Okay. Well, we could play devil's advocate later.
I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm giving them more shit
for the former loot box system.
Yeah. They changed from a bad loot box system to a worse pay to win system.
One.
Yeah.
So there's a couple large conversations that came out of this for me. And the first more minor one was something I've learned. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. It's something I've learned about games like MOBAs and arena shooters is that they breed an environment that is like a razor's edge. You see this most especially in traditional 3-lane MOBAs, where the game mode and match style requires so much rote practice and knowledge of the different stages of the game and matchups and how characters work and how they are good against other characters and times to use this ability and other things. The breed of environment of people who play the game casually and people who play it competitively. And your two modes are casual and competitive. Right? Yeah. You have ranked mode or not ranked mode. And when someone tells you about their experience in a game like Overwatch, you need to know, do they play ranked or not, to have some kind of idea of where they're coming from, right? I play a lot of MOBAs. And when you play casual, of any of these kind of really competitive games, roughly half your matches, your teammates don't know what they're doing, or they're learning, or they're young, or they're bad, or they don't care, or they're drunk, or whatever. Yeah. And you know from the first minute or two that the game is likely going to be a loss. So already you have the sunk time cost problem where you're like, this is going to be a 20, 30-minute match. We're already losing, right? Or you get people who maybe 30% of the time are pissed that you're not playing like it's competitive and you're in casuals. And then you get this weird kind of alternate argument where it's like, well, this is casuals, so people can be bad, right? But then your only other option is to go into ranked, where if you do not do things to a T, the toxic community is going to tear you a new hole. Yeah. And the toxic communities, it's legend within League of Legends and fucking Dota and Smite and sure Overwatch and even I imagine stuff like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Oh, yeah. If you are not at the top of your game all the time, and even then, you're going to get flamed left and right because again, just the style of the matches and the environment breeds this level of toxicity because you're wasting other people's time, or so they think, if you're not doing your part. And this is so much more impactful in MOBAs where you have 5 roles that all need to be filled. And if one person's not doing their job, sometimes MOBA matches can go on for 45 minutes to an hour, given the right MOBA, right? That's a lot of time to be angry that you're losing the whole time and someone refuses to surrender, right? Whatever. So this idea that they were going to bring in a PvE for Overwatch, like I really like that idea because you're taking everything that people like about Overwatch, the feel and the theme and genre and style of play. We've had years to get used to the controls and how things work, and removing that razor's edge where you don't have to fall into one or two categories, either, idiot or try hard. And then to take it away, I mean, again, going back to the first thing, it's reasonable that they did it in the sense that they've had a shitstorm of problems. But good Lord, like that was kind of the last saving grace, in my opinion, that Overwatch had. Everybody is pissed because you take something somebody likes, a 6v6 Overwatch with all the stuff we had, you make it a 5v5 and make a bunch of changes. You have to pay for heroes now if you don't grind out weeks of fucking FOMO play to get them.
Yeah.
I don't see why. And that brings me to my final point, this big idea that I was talking about. Why is it that AAA game studios keep putting out subpar work? We have these games that get these amazing CG trailers and a year of PR. And, it's been 10 years now, easy, of these games that seem so awesome. And then they come out and they're garbage. And I keep asking myself, how does this keep happening? And other AAA studios say, why aren't we learning from this? Right? Going back to Fallout 76, going back to Anthem, going back to Destiny, going back even farther than that. It's just year after year of AAA games.
Goosebumps watching Mercy come down in this trailer.
I know that it's God, there, right? The feeling is there. I think about that when I see Halo, right?
Yeah.
You watch old Halo and you're like, where did that go? Right. Yeah. And I talked about this with my brother for a few hours. And the only reasonable conclusion I can come to is it's because they still make money.
Yeah.
It as much as I don't want to admit it, as much as I'm so desperately grasping for some sense of artistic quality of these things, I know there's devs and artists and all kinds of people working on this game that love the idea and they put their heart and soul into making the game feel right. And then that all just gets torn apart by the sum of the parts that is a shitty game. And I don't really have a point so much as, if anyone else is wondering why this stuff keeps happening, it's because you keep giving them money. Like, how many years is it going to take from now before the general zeitgeist, spirit of the times says every other game is a game as service that has a battle pass and microtransactions. Every single one has daily quests and wants me to log in and wants me to pay $5 for this and $10 for that. Recently, Call of Duty, they just sold well, Adam was telling me, but they didn't make enough microtransaction money. And the companies started blaming the developer and developers blaming the publisher. It's like, the problem is that every single game wants your wallet now.
Yeah.
Like there isn't a game out there that doesn't have some microtransaction. When are we going to pop this bubble? And I think it's going to happen soon. I think within the next 5 years, we're going to see a backlash because this kind of stuff is going to keep happening. They're going to keep putting out games. Like I'll bet my 2 microphone testicles that Diablo 4 is going to have all kinds of microtransactions in it because that's how they make their money nowadays.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it's going to last, but I hope it's over soon.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I want to go back to buying a game and playing it.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Man. Like, I mean, it'd be like now going up to the car dealership and you buy a car, and they're trying to do this at car dealerships
That's
too.
a thing.
That is a thing now, but it literally be like, all right, you bought the car and you get to leave with the chassis. But if you want the steering wheel, the fucking tires, and the windows, like, well, we gotta wait for an update. First off,
I saw a Jeep. A guy just rolled off the lot, and the screen of the Jeep popped up saying if he wanted to pay more for a warranty.
Yeah,
like while he's driving.
There's a
what is this?
So there's some kind of, I think it's Audis.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's Audis are
for
going like premium style. So if you want seat warmers, you can pay for that. If you want more horsepower, you can pay for that.
You can pay
They're literally shutting down pistons in your engine.
Yeah.
You have it
until you pay them.
They're just software turned off.
In Teslas, you don't get the seat warmer unless you pay a subscription service.
Yeah.
You don't get the autopilot unless you pay the subscription service.
Well,
It's
I mean,
all the
do you
Cyberpunk
really want to
without any of the
pay for
fun.
something that's just gonna run over colored people? That seems mean.
Jesus. He's referring to, I mean, check it out. It just,
it's a real thing.
The safety feature
Doesn't-
recognizes people doesn't recognize people of color very often.
Yeah, no. If you have melanin in your skin,
Yes.
it doesn't see you very.
Jesus, present that better.
I don't
feel like this is Josh's fault.
It's not Josh's fault. He's spitting facts, but they just spit them better.
Yeah, I tried. I'm sorry.
So
moving on.
Good luck, Blizzard.
Let's talk about another AAA game that's being milked for all it's worth. Now, this one I find a little exciting. We know the Mario movie has done very well. None of us have seen the Mario movie yet.
No, it's sad.
I do plan to, but I'm going to wait until it comes to streaming. I have really no need to see it in the theater. I don't need to be smelling diapers and hearing kids' screams during my Mario movie. I've lived with Mario for 35 years now, and they've had him for like 7, so I want my experience, not theirs. And I hate fucking children in theater. So
Those are all very good points. That was a cogent, well delivered sentiment there, sir.
So let's talk about another Nintendo here that I've lived with for 35 years. Let's talk about Link.
Oh.
He come to
Oh
town.
my God.
So
Broke all your pots. You know?
Eiji Aonuma, who's been who's been working on Zelda since Zelda,
Okay.
has said that they're for sure interested in making a TV or movie adaptation of Zelda.
Why? How could you not be like
Now-
Mario did so well. They're like, hey.
The thing is, I think you can do a lot of just fun fan service things in Mario. I don't think you can do that as easily in Zelda. I don't think Zelda fans would be as into that because Zelda's always been there to deliver a story, where Mario has been there to deliver a fun experience, right? Like you get the fun experience in Zelda games, but Zelda is a much more serious product.
I see what you're saying. So in Mario, it's perfectly fine for Donkey Kong to show up and laugh like fucking Seth Rogen. Nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
Like it's perfectly fine that like all the little madcap little things. It's perfectly fine. But no, Zelda.
It has a more serious tone.
It does have a bit more serious of a tone, absolutely. But in this modern day where we're eating up your Game of Thrones, you're eating up your and like sadly some of these are better than others. Game of Thrones was great and got worse. Rings of Power was beautiful, but overall. Yeah. For those of you only on the audio, I plugged my nose and waved my hand in front of it.
And then you almost threw up, apparently.
Yep. You got a little gurgly there. You got dick. And then you have things like Wheel of Time finally coming out, right? So you have all these fantasy things, and Zelda is the perfect.
Very fantasy.
It's very fantasy. It's a perfect setting. It's a brilliant fucking idea. It's a brilliant fucking idea.
Now the question is, which quantum state of Zelda?
Right. I know.
Because every Zelda game has this loose connection to the Zelda expanded universe.
You got to do Ocarina of Time.
No.
They wouldn't, though.
So
I
here's
really don't
the
see them
thing.
doing that.
Ocarina of Time would be my preferred, because I think that the game was short enough that you can condense it into a couple hours, I think. Or better yet, a TV series, like, 10 episodes.
I'm viewing a TV series in this. Like
I would prefer a TV series.
Yeah.
But they're talking about a movie. So we need to think about it.
No, they're talking about either.
Oh, either.
Yep.
Okay.
So they are talking about either. So they're talking about either a one-off TV series, like a mini series, or a movie.
Okay.
And I think Zelda, because it is a story-based drama action, right, would probably be better suited to a longer format than a movie, I think.
Yeah, I don't see how you wouldn't. How would you make a Zelda movie without it feeling rushed?
Yeah, because
it has to be a trilogy.
There's so much side content in Zelda.
Yeah.
It has to be a trilogy for a Zelda. For movies, it has to be a trilogy.
You got so many things to introduce.
which maybe they go that route.
Sure,
You
but
know?
I mean, a 10 episodes, 2 seasons.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be
great.
yeah. That'd be perfect.
Now, what I think I would prefer to see is that they don't make a Zelda movie or show based off of any one Zelda game. That they give it its own story, because that's what we've gotten from all of the Zelda games.
Probably would.
And I would hope that they would.
I would if I had to like pick something, I'd say that they'd make up a new Zelda story.
Because they've been able to successfully make the Zelda formula work over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at Hyrule Historia and you look at the sequence of games, you know, just seeing how many mainline Zelda games there are with, you have to defeat some dungeons, some bosses, you get some key items. Those key items unlock new areas to unlock, new dungeons to unlock. You get the items that you need to kill the bad guy, and then you save the princess. That's the formula of almost every Zelda game. There are a few offshoots, like, you know, the train one. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
There's a train Zelda?
Yeah, Spirit Tracks. It's a Zelda Spirit Tracks.
I vaguely remember that.
You're a train conductor in Zelda Spirit Tracks.
It's a B-side Zelda.
Yeah, so there are a few of those as well. But I mean, we're talking mainline Zelda games here: Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild,
Twilight Princess, Wind Waker.
Yeah, Link to the Past. If they were to do something like that, they could fit that into the Zelda timeline, because I'm sure you guys have been introduced to the Zelda timeline.
Yes, I have seen it. It is extensive and a little
and deep.
deep.
Yeah, they split from Ocarina of Time, because that's where time splits happened, right? The hero loses, the hero wins. Those two timelines diverge, and I think they could absolutely fit some kind of series or a trilogy into that and make it canon.
I hate to,
because they've canonized these games successfully.
I hate to interrupt, but we're watching Tears of the Kingdom trailer in the audio here, or for the video here,
The eyeball thing.
And I just saw a picture of Ganon, like,
oh my God, don't even get me started about
who
Ganon.
made Ganon fucking swirty? He's all fucking,
so
like,
Adam was telling me that the guy
he's busting out of his shirt, sexy, and
the guy who
He's
is
looking
the
to fuck.
Ganon guy at Nintendo, who has been working on and designing Ganon for games. Apparently there's like one guy, and he's been the guy for Ganon forever.
He's the Ganon guy.
And they told him this time, hey, we're not going to give you any direction. Please make Ganon the way you picture Ganon. And he basically exploded with excitement. And he presented us this just specimen. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of the 2D art of the new Ganon.
it's like Ganon Fabio.
Everyone is I don't care what's in your pants.
You're attracted to Ganon.
He's thicker than your mind can comprehend in every dimension. He's
thicker than Sunday morning biscuits.
Look at that. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave that one go. No, it's fantastic. But the one thing I would say is I'd also lean towards them doing something in this universe, because now Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, I guess mild spoilers if you don't know, they're set in the same world.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a kind of there's a timeline there. Breath of the Wild happened, then Tears of the Kingdom. And purely in an attempt to get more people to buy copies of their games, I could see them making a show or movie that's set in this particular Zelda sphere.
Yeah.
Right.
I could certainly see that too. Yeah. I mean, Breath of the Wild now, or the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom series, has the most lore, because it is. I mean, it is the same Hyrule as Ocarina of Time. So we quite literally have, like, as far as the Zelda timeline goes, these are the most mainline of the Zelda games for sure. It's not even like an if this then that. This is the sequence of events that happened through it. So I wouldn't doubt it.
You could do Link to the Past, and there'd be a full 50% of people who watched the show that had no idea that was a Zelda game.
No, not necessarily, because A Link Between Worlds is the follow-up to A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past has a sequel. It has it's not even a sequel. It exists beside it, because
DS,
it did. It was for the 3DS.
Yeah.
Great game. One of my favorites of any of the Zelda series. If you haven't played it, check it out. It plays like A Link to the Past. It's the Link to the Past map almost identically, but it shares a very different story, and it's.
You should check it out. Link to the Past is hands down my favorite. The one I played the most.
Jesus Christ! Hey, I got to give a shout out real quick to chat. So we've got 777 Studios gifted subscription, and Kona Hula comes in and drops a 5 tier 1 subs bomb. Thank you, Kona.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
The best listeners.
Gentlemen.
The best viewers.
You're amazing.
Most
incredible.
Definitely. Yeah, where to even begin? There it is. So we want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom. I've watched a good amount of it so far. My brother's been playing it. He actually sent me some notes on it, opinion-wise.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I myself don't care to get into Tears of the Kingdom because I haven't played it yet. I know what people's impressions of it are so far. I've watched a lot of Korok torture compilations on TikTok recently.
People building crazy stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, please.
I asked him
share
if
your impression.
he could share. I mean, from what I've seen, I haven't played either yet. I mean, I've seen little bits here and there. I'm probably going to play it after him. But I asked him if he could send me some things about that were non-spoiler, and he did a pretty awesome job here. So for those of you that have played Breath of the Wild, he says, as far as good things go, there's a lot more to do story-wise. There's a good chunk of side quests that actually seem to go places as opposed to Breath of the Wild.
That's good.
The world is gargantuan. Wild already had a pretty big map, but not only does this one have a bigger map, it's got a map in the sky and a full map underground.
Yeah.
And I was watching him play underground for like an hour, and he checked his mini map, and he'd cleared out like 3% of it.
Yeah. If
that, right? Massive map. The wacky hijinks are off the charts. We were losing our shit laughing over all the little ideas we had building stuff
with the fusion system.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, everything seemingly is useful. All those little items and bits and bobs you pick up because there's so many ways to combine things. There doesn't seem to be like any one thing that completely outclasses others. So you don't have like a tiered system. It's everything has a use. If there is downsides to the game, everything having a use means that everything has a use. There are a lot of things, and watching him scroll through his inventory, like standard Nintendo fashion, the UI is kind of garbage. You literally have one line that you scroll through, and you can just hold the right stick down and scroll through hundreds of items trying to find the one thing that you want.
Boy, that's
and it's really hard because sometimes you pause mid battle to like attach something into your arrow, and sure, the time freezes, but you're like mid jump animation, and you got to find the thing that you want to attach to your arrow. And also the creation system, while really fun and hijinky, it seems roughshod in the sense that things are either on or off.
Yeah.
So you get this impression that you could do lots of complex things with the building, but you'll make a machine and then you turn everything on and it does whatever it wants to do. And then the battery dies and it's over.
Yeah.
So maybe that's good. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it doesn't really have an effect. But it is not as complex as it seems as first.
Yeah. To me, the fusion system honestly seems like it was almost an afterthought. I think a reasonably well done afterthought based on what I've seen, but it seems like maybe it did not get enough development time, seeing as it is a key component in this game.
I don't know. I know that Nintendo loves trying new stuff, especially with their new line Mario games. Yeah. So I'm not surprised to see something like this in there.
Sure. I applaud them. Good. I mean, Breath of the Wild was really innovative, especially for a mainline Zelda game. Like mainline Zelda, they don't really mess with that. You get a hook shot, you get a bow and arrow. You get like
it has not.
We all know the
evolved
system
as much as Mario has.
Yeah,
not even close.
Not even close. No, but with the amount of systems they've thrown at us with Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, I'm thankful. It's impressive. It's good to see innovation in especially in a game that has been taken so seriously by Nintendo for so long and has been essentially the same for so long, albeit good, always good. As far as AAA games go, it's hard to say that there's a bad Zelda game. There may be ones that you don't prefer or ones that you prefer over the other, but it's really hard to say that there is a bad Zelda game.
I don't like Majora's Mask. It's an excellent Zelda game.
It is an excellent Zelda game. It's an incredible game. I love that.
I just want to say one more thing, circling back on the idea of the Zelda show. As far as the fan service things go, Zelda is really great in the fact that items that are good for fan service are also integral to like the game and such. Like the hook shot, you bringing up the hook shot is what reminded me of it. So the hook shot, the mirror shield, and the master sword are all going to be like really excellent fan service items that like fans are going to be like, yeah. And they also can just fit right in because it makes sense to have them. But that was just like the last thing I want to say on the show there. To circle back
I want to say, Nintendo, you want to make some money, give de Villeneuve the rights to Metroid and let him make a show.
Totally.
That would do it.
That'd be kind of sick. Yeah, 100%.
Metroid show. That would be real dope.
All right. Into some minor things. There's a couple games I've been checking out. I want to talk about. We had a spur in the moment last thing I saw right before the podcast. Speaking of MOBAs, a new game by Toy Studios. Let's Play. They did Happy Wars. If any of you played that back on the Xbox days, they're coming out with a large scale MOBA / battle arena that's set in like a medieval setting. Game modes are going to be 20v20 or 50v50, which is pretty nuts. It looks a little like what are those the sword games? Those realistic Chivalry, or what was the fighting game masquerading?
Mordhau?
Well, Chivalry and Mordhau were both kind of similar. I'm thinking of the one that was more of like an actual fighting game, For Honor.
Oh, For Honor, yeah.
So it's kind of got a visual, like imagine if For Honor was cartoony, or at least a little cartoony. But it looks like it's got fully destructible castle terrain and a promise of up to 100 people in one match, which is a big ask.
Fuck.
Yeah. The trailer is mostly gameplay, which I love to see. I don't know if there's really any cinematics in it.
There's a little bit. Yeah, it's thrown in there.
But yeah, plenty of gameplay showing at least third-person combat. It looks roughly equivalent to Smite in the sense of like time to kill and, controlling your character. It doesn't look like you're targeting things like League of Legends or World of Warcraft. But it's in beta, Steam, PS5, Xbox X and S. Worth checking out. That was neat.
For sure.
Definitely. It looks great.
We're a little late. I didn't realize, but there was a huge 4X tactical strategy game sale on Steam recently. But Age of Empires 4, if you have that pulled up, I don't know if I linked it or not. I can
queue it up here in a second,
has recently come out. And I've played the Age of Wonders game off and on, and they're nice. They're like a meal from a restaurant you haven't had in a while. But this one seems to be taking the cake. A lot of the strategy tactics, grand strategy game YouTubers I watch have been gushing over it, is taking over some channels, and this is the only content they're releasing. I think Spiving Brit did a video on it pretty much at drop. But it looks really well done. I have yet to play it myself. I've watched probably a good 20 hours of people playing it, a few different YouTubers now. And it's surprising to see a game published by Paradox release in such a mostly complete state.
Yeah.
One thing I realized, everybody was like, dude, you got to check out this strategy. It's OP. And then I was watching and I see this strategy and that strategy. I'm realizing the game has somehow managed to make almost everything you choose when you're setting up and developing your empire seem overpowered, which is hard to do, right? It's hard to make you feel like you chose the right thing, kind of regardless of what you've done. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of bad strategies. It seems like there's a good option of difficulty from the hardest to maybe more casual stuff. So it's very surprising. I enjoyed Age of Empires or Age of Wonders Planetfall, which came out 5-6 years ago. It was a sci-fi kind of Alpha Centauri feel, but it is a little jank. But it's looking like this one has learned and polished even from release. So that is exciting. If you like fantasy, if you like empire management, tactical battles of large armies and crunching numbers and abilities, definitely check that out.
I think Paradox's Founders Week sale is still going on as well, just in general. So that means most of their games are on sale. This last weekend, I'm pretty sure the sale is still going on because just this last weekend was the free CK3 weekend. So you could play for free for a few days. Cool. So I know their sale is still going on, and that's across, again, everything. That's Hearts of Iron. That's
the first hit's
Stellaris.
Free.
Yeah. First hit's free.
Yep.
First hit's free.
If you have like roughly 800 hours to spare, I mean, feel free to get into it.
In the last year and a half, I've bought almost $200 worth of Stellaris deals. Now I've managed to get most of it on sale, so it's like $130 worth at this point, but it's like straight up like $200 worth of shit.
I think I've put 200 or 300 hours into Stellaris this year alone, or not even half it done with the year. So,
fucking A, boys.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some more news.
Ooh.
Okay.
And a little bit of rumor mill stuff.
Oh, that's my favorite.
You guys like Metal Gear Solid?
No. Yeah,
So,
of course.
we talked last week about rumors and the potential of a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. We talked about it really briefly. It looks like that may have been a little bit too early. Not to say it won't happen yet, but we have more Metal Gear Solid rumors. Andy Robinson, who is the owner and editor of VGC News, seems to have some inside information as to what is to be shown at this PlayStation Showcase. PlayStation Showcase has been officially announced for next Wednesday, May 24th.
Okay.
He tweeted, "I hope PlayStation fans are geared up for this, capital G." So again, the rumor mill is a Twitter with rumors that there's going to be new Metal Gear Solid content.
Watch it be Ratchet and Clank.
I mean, I wouldn't be terribly disappointed, to be honest, right? But no, this would be a non-Kojima Metal Gear Solid as well. So we're still talking Konami, but no Kojima.
I don't know about that.
I was trying to think, because we talked about a little bit on the balcony, like, what is a good analogy? Like
That's like a Matrix without a Wachowski sibling.
Yeah,
you know?
that would
Star Wars without Luke.
Matrix 2 and 3 would have been probably better without the Wachowskis. So
fair. It's like,
arguably, you know,
it's like Star Wars without a Skywalker in it. You know, like, no,
some of those have been really fucking good.
they have been.
Don't get me excited. Yeah.
So like my feelings on it are, I've got a wait and see approach, but I wouldn't say I'm pessimistic about it. I think that Metal Gear Solid has such a strong cult following. Like, these are AAA titles. They're played by a lot of people, but there is a remaining cult for these games, even though they only get put out every few years. And we've had no promise of additional Metal Gear Solids since 5, because Kojima doesn't have the license to do Metal Gear Solid anymore. So there's been like, I think we've all felt that there's no chance for any more Metal Gear Solid games. So to see this is interesting. And beyond that, I think that there are enough developers that look at Kojima and the works that he's done in Metal Gear Solid that know it and understand it and have digested the plot and have taken Kojima's like love for introduction of new mechanics and that kind of thing. I think there are enough developers that would be passionate enough about this project to make a good game. Are they still under the Konami umbrella? Some of them, yes. But, you know, is Konami going to be able to deliver? I don't know. But I do think that there are enough people passionate about a Metal Gear Solid project that they could make a good game.
I don't know. What was that last Konami game? Oh yeah, Elden Ring. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe they can deliver.
Well,
did they win Game of the Year last year?
That slightly different developer.
Slightly different
from software.
That's from software.
Fair enough, I guess. Yeah.
I think you got a lot of points, and like I would not be surprised in the least if everything you said came true. In the same sense that I am a wait and see, but I am pessimistic. I think that same cult following is following Metal Gear Solid for Metal Gear Solid, which itself is Hideo Kojima. And I think the idea of them releasing a Metal Gear Solid game without him to these people is heresy.
I agree.
And I could see this going south.
Sure.
Like more than I see it going well. It very well could. But again, I'm the pessimist. I'm the straight man on the podcast.
My
thought. Sorry, just real quick. Like, so either here's how I see it. Either A, like if it's bad, if these are the scenarios. If it's not good, either A, Kojima's legacy, his shadow over that game is
Shadow Moses. I said
Don't you know the
Shadow
timeline,
Moses
is so strong. And everyone is so caught up in it that a bunch of people try to do what they think Kojima would do, and it winds up being shit.
That's a distinct possibility.
Right? The other one is they try to do like completely their own thing and do just the opposite of what Kojima would do and go in the absolute bass-ackwards opposite direction to show that they are individual and can do without, and that's also going to be really bad. So like, I don't. How do you dance? Like, that's just gonna. I don't know. It seems hard to make something that's going to make a lot of people happy with this.
Melding the ideas of what Andy was talking about with a lot of the devs that have worked on previous Metal Gear Solid games with an idea similar to yours was mine, that you're going to have people that make a really solid Metal Gear Solid game that doesn't have the heart.
Yeah.
They're not going to have that directing force that was Hideo Kojima to make something that feels like a Metal Gear Solid game. It might be a great game, but I think the analogy I use is like they make Metal Gear Solid, but it plays like Splinter Cell or something.
So to be honest, that for me, I wouldn't hate that.
It wouldn't be bad, but it reminds me of like when the Warcraft devs worked on Diablo, right? And everyone panicked because they're like, Warcraft has such a different aesthetic and vibe. And like, don't worry, it's going to look nice and gothic and dark. And then it came out and it looked like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Right.
No, sure.
That would be my concern.
It may have a slightly different velour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly. I don't think...
King of Fabrics.
Kojima brings something to the table that I don't think anybody else really can, right?
Yeah.
So to get a solid game, with tactical espionage, I think would be just fine for me. Something that continues the story, and I'm not even necessarily averse to it being less heady than a Hideo Kojima production, right?
The headiness is always there. Is it necessary? I don't know.
No, I don't think it is.
It's not unwarranted, and it's not like... Because I like it that it's there.
I do too. I love it. I love how
what makes a Metal Gear Solid game. It's
some
just one part of it.
Part of what makes a Metal Gear Solid game is how fucking outlandish and heady it is. It is a piece of the pie. It is. Right. Like, I mean, Vamp is a perfect example for Metal Gear Solid 3.
Dude,
or from 2. What a weird character.
All the time.
Yeah. You have I can't remember her name right now, but she was the daughter of like Commander Ocelot. Anyways, she couldn't die, right? Yeah. That was a weird thing, and to see that go a little bit more realistic, I don't think I'd hate. You know, like I think that would still be good, is what I'm saying. Is like if you didn't have the Kojima-ness surrounding it, I think it still could be a very good game. Will it feel like a Metal Gear Solid game? Probably not, but I think there is potential for still a really good game to come out of it.
We will have to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a wait and see, and it's definitely still rumor mill. So we might just be talking about nothing. So speaking about talking about nothing, the Xbox Games Showcase is coming June 2023. So we have an official announcement. So again, next week, May 24th, we've got the PlayStation Showcase. Next month, June. What did I just say? 24th. We've got the Xbox Games Showcase. Then
next year.
No, coming up shortly thereafter, in later June, June 19th to the 26th, we have Steam Next Fest again. So guys, we need to mark our calendars. We need to play some more demos because there's going to be some serious fucking demos. Like, I don't know, Haunted Chocolatier coming in Steam Next Fest. So looking really forward to that. Just want to let everybody know there are some specific dates coming up next week. Obviously, we'll have the PlayStation Showcase to talk about, and then in the coming weeks, we'll have the Xbox Showcase, Steam Next Fest to come out. So there is a lot of content coming. So especially if you don't keep up with the showcases, we'll have all that news for you here. Just remember, videogametango.com, twitch.tv/videogametango, youtube.com/@videogametango, all of those things. Gentlemen, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap up for today?
I can't wait for Hideo Kojima's next game.
True. I mean, so we already know what the next game is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I would just like to remind everybody that for $4.99 a month, you can keep your local podcasters from going hungry.
In the arms of an angel.